I would imagine that the music business here in LA has changed dramatically over the last 15, 20 years, like it has in New York. I'd be curious to hear your guys' feeling about the state of the business as it is right now, and maybe also where you, and Andy, you talked about looking forward, where do you see things going in the next decade or two?
That's an excellent question. Well, Wayne and I were kind of odd birds as far as we grew up in Los Angeles, we grew up in the city, and a lot of the players are from elsewhere, as you know.
Sure.
They all, seems like 90% of them migrated from somewhere else to be here in Los Angeles to work the situation, work the studios here, or do whatever they want in the music business here in Los Angeles because it's such a huge scene. Where it's going now is different. It's difficult to say what's going to happen in the future because everything's kind of going elsewhere as far as worldwide competition for movie scores, for TV scores, for whatever. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of options out there for a producer. And if a producer's real cheap and they would just want to go, oh, well, I'll just take this guy because he's cheaper. Well, yeah, go ahead. But I think as far as the product, there are so many great players here in Los Angeles that have done it and have the experience doing it. I think anybody's better off recording music here in Los Angeles because of the experience factor and the fact that, the business is here, the films are usually made here because there's so many different areas where you can film things and have a different feel for, a scene. But where the business is going, gosh, luckily we're both diversified. We don't just do movie scores. We don't just do this type of work or that type of work. Right. We're doing theater work, we're doing the movie work, we're doing TV work, records, and whatever comes. I work on Dancing with the Stars and some TV shows that are pretty cool. I mean, they're great. Yeah. I hope maybe the bringing bands back to TV is going to be a trend, because they're all copycats, basically. Yeah. The TV business is all copycats. If a jingle company has a successful ad campaign with a bass going doom 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 doom, then everybody's doing that, right? So that's just how they do it, So there's a successful TV show called Dancing with the Stars with an 18-piece band and 4 singers, and it's great. And hopefully people go, hey, that's pretty cool. Let's try that, Yeah. So it's all kind of on the people's whims that are in charge, basically. If they want to spend the money to do it and get a cool product, they'll do it. If they want to cheap out and make it cheesy, and they'll do that too. So I'm hoping the first thing will be the option most of the time. But I'm optimistic. I mean, I enjoy doing what I do. I love playing studio work. I love jazz stuff. I love playing in big bands and doing my guest solo things out of town. I just love it all. So if you diversify, I think there's a possibility of making it as a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in this climate, I think you have to diversify. Andy and I are probably kind of an interesting example because I would say where a lot of players are complaining that their work has declined, I would say our work has gotten better.
True.
In the last 5 years for guys like you and I because we didn't come up the ranks doing everything.
There was no splash like Wayne Bergeron's now in town. He grew up kind of struggling as a player. Me too. Grew up struggling as a player and got better as the years went by. So anyway, sorry.
So we've kind of no, it's okay. We kind of worked our way through the system, and so some new composers have come along and taken. So we've gotten our own little niche going, as well as being involved in the other things. So I've seen, even though my movie work is maybe down from 5 years ago, I didn't do as many movies, but I did 10 guest soloist things more. Mm-hmm. And I worked at the Pantages Theater for 6 months. And financially, it was better. Mm-hmm. So I just didn't do as many movies. And that work, like what he's explaining, I can see that kind of thing phasing away as it has from New York and other places as they go to Prague and they go to Moscow and they go to wherever they go and do it for 1/10 the cost. And you can't really fault a producer for doing that. When it comes down to it, they're going, well, God, this is going to cost how much money? If you've got a big, huge budget, it probably shouldn't matter. You should probably get the best product you can get. They go to London and they get a fantastic. How do you argue with that?
Yeah, they're great.
And it's about the same money up front, but then they don't have to pay any health benefits. They have the health benefits. They don't have to pay any reuse because they're not part of the AFM. Mm-hmm. So it's there's going to be competition. London has always been competition for the United States recording-wise. These other places, and now they're doing them remotely. So I think that's a little bleaker picture, don't you think? The motion picture part of it anyway.
Yeah.
But other things, like you said, like the Dancing with the Stars, when American Idol started putting that live band on there, and you could see the band. When we did it, it used to be pre-record. Then they had that live band, then Dancing with the Stars, so it becomes the thing, kind of. And if a producer says that's cool, then everybody thinks it's cool if the right person says it.
Yeah.
If it's an all banjo band and the producer thinks it's cool, banjos are going to become very popular.
I couldn't agree with you more, Andy, and Wayne as well. I think when you see a band on TV, it's golden. It doesn't. I mean, obviously it's great when it's the best quality players in town, but even if it's not, it's just it's exposure for live music, it's exposure for instruments. It's good. You know?
For instance, Justin Timberlake now has his traveling band has horns in it, and it's like,
Right.
that's great. Like, keep that going. These guys are out front playing, everybody's showing off and stuff, and people see that. Wow, I've never seen those things before. What are those things? The young crowd. What's that thing that goes like this? Well, it's a trombone. Hey, that's pretty cool. Maybe So it might, grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, I know Prince is out. My buddy Nick Marchone is out with Prince right now, and he's got 10 or 11 piece
got
horn
double
section.
horn
Yeah,
section.
it's a
Wow.
double horn. So
Really?
it's
Cool.
phenomenal. But well, listen, guys, it's been great spending some time with you today. As we close out, I kind of always like to close this out because we have a lot of younger viewers and they look up to you, as I do, to no end. We kind of addressed it a little bit, but do you have any specific advice for a young brass player who's out there in college right now and thinking, I'd really like to come to LA? I mean, I think you already touched on it on some level with the versatility aspects. I think it's huge.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you'd add to that mix?
Well, the thing I haven't mentioned is bass trombone, because I play quite a bit of bass trombone, because if I didn't, I wouldn't work probably half the jobs I get called for. I wouldn't even be considered for them. So I say part of the diversification is playing multiple instruments, and I think bass trombone is a key. I'm buying a contrabass trombone. I don't think you know that. Oh yeah, so
Chinese made horn, $1,100. I've heard all about it. And there's like 6 people getting them.
yeah. So to become good on these instruments is kind of difficult. I got good playing bass trombone just because I had Phantom of the Opera at the theater, and I played it for 6 months straight, and I had to play the damn thing every day, and I had to sound good on it, and I practiced for years and years before that. I never felt like I played very well. But preparing for that and then having that job made me play every day for hours. And so just having that experience got me to be a good player. But diversification, try to get into arranging. Like you're one of the best arrangers I know. You get into something like that, get into some composing, arranging, piano playing, something that can make your whole musicality a much better thing. I consider myself kind of a Neanderthal because I just play the trombone. I don't really do much else. I can't play piano.
But he's being modest because he's written some nice tunes and he doesn't just sit down and do it all the time. But you could.
I've played some of your sextet arrangements, which I think are fantastic. So I think you're selling short as well. But yeah, I think it's a very good point what you're saying.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Andy on all of that. I mean, getting into the technical part of it, for me, I've just dove into the Pro Tools, part of this thing, and that's a whole nother art form in itself, knowing how to do that. But I think just another feather you can put in your hat. As a trumpet player, I mean, obviously you need to be able to fit the job description. You need to be able to be the greatest player you can be, and as many levels you can be, as many styles you can play at. Consistency is a big deal, in a town like this, because you don't get too many shots at it. So makes it nerve-wracking, but being able to play something under the gun. Like I've had students come to recording sessions with me, and they'd hear me play, body, body, ba-ba-da-da, all by myself, and I go, I'm nervous playing that because there's 100 string players staring at me.
Sure.
And this student said, "Well, that doesn't seem that hard." I go, "Really?" I go, "Okay, I want you to play it." "No, wait. Now play it. Let's see how you do." You know what I mean? So that feeling. So, but I think practice your butt off. Warm up the same way every day. You have these books out that outline everything. I think that's really important for a musician on any instrument for consistency. So you have to be able to do that. Once you get to a level where you're competent and you come to a town like LA or New York or any big city that's got some work, your personality has a lot to do with it too.
I was going to touch on that.
Because, there's a lot of a-holes in our business, as you know, that can play.
Yeah.
A lot of them can play, and they don't work. They don't understand why they don't work. But so I think getting along with people, and my attitude is if I go in, if I'm playing third trumpet, my job is I'm going to make that first trumpet player want it. He need to have me there.
Yeah.
He can't do a job without me. Because I'm going to make him sound as great as I can make him sound. I'm going to follow him into the toilet if necessary. I'm going to phrase with him. I'm going to match his pitch. I'm going to balance him and do all that. And there's players here that do, like Larry Hall, kind of an unsung hero here.
Great player.
He's not a lead trumpet player necessarily, even though he could play some lead. He doesn't have screaming high chops, but he's got solid range. But Kim playing second trumpet under you, there's nobody better, really. He'll just he gives this pad of sound, and you play with them, and your sound, they fit together like this, and he makes you sound good. So who doesn't want that person? So you need to try to be that person, I think.
Yeah.
From the business side of it anyway. the music side of it should take care of itself. Obviously, you need to strive to be the greatest musicians possible.
Yeah, well, that's great advice from both of you. Listen, to all of us, we're going to keep an eye on what you guys are doing with your solo projects and all the various things you're doing. WayneBergeron.com, and it is AndyMartin.com or
Drewbone.
Drewbone, right,
Yeah.
sorry, Drewbone.com. So keep an eye on these guys. They're doing amazing work. As we all know, they've been doing it for so long. And thank you guys for all the inspiration you give us as brass players. And thank you for me for taking the time out of your busy schedules to spend some time with us today.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be here, man.
Hey.
Thanks for.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. We'll see you all next time on Bone2Pick.